በነገራችን ላይ ይህንን ፕሮግራም በቀጥታ በመላው ዓለም የምትከታተሉ ኢትዮጵያውያን ስላልቻላችሁ ስላልሆነላችሁ ስላልተገኛችሁ እንኳን ደስ ያላችሁ በሏቸው እስኪ አንዴ። This is a day that Ethiopia has become proud.
Okay, so that was a video of the reaction from the Prime Minister in Ethiopia. So I asked the question in a previous video whether that was an assassination attempt on the Ethiopian Prime Minister. And Washington Post has published the 26th of June, a couple days ago, the same question, this article. I don't know what this is about, maybe another video. So on Saturday, this past Saturday, hundreds of thousands of Ethiopians rallied in the famous Meskel Square, located at the heart of the capital city, Addis Ababa. Citizen groups and human rights activists had organized the event to show support for Ethiopia's reformist leader, Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed, to recognize Abiy's commitment to democratic change and encourage implementation. Excuse me, I think it's pronounced Ahmed. If I mispronounced it, please forgive me. The demonstration was colorful. Okay, I don't know what that means, but okay. Many wore t-shirts bearing pictures of Abiy and his right-hand men. Others carried banners thanking Abiy for his agenda of togetherness. The Prime Minister wore a t-shirt with a picture of Nelson Mandela, which read, "We are not free until we all are free." Abiy gave a rousing speech calling for national unity and preaching love, coexistence, and democratic values. Minutes after he spoke, and that must have been when he sat down. So the Prime Minister was the young man with the green shirt on in the middle, and I believe his wife was to the right of him in blue. So minutes after he spoke, he sat down, and someone else came up to speak, and a grenade exploded. A rally organizer told the Washington Post the attacker had aimed at the stage, but a demonstrator grabbed his hand and changed the grenade's direction. If that's accurate, this may have been an attempt to assassinate a reformer who, since taking office 2 months ago, has lifted the state of emergency declared in February by the previous administration. So far, the explosion has killed 2 and injured an estimated 150 people. So I think the previous estimation was around 30 to 50 people, and now it's up to 150 people that have been injured by this one grenade. Here's what these events mean for Ethiopia's governance and for the EPRDF, the four-party coalition that has tightly controlled Ethiopian politics for the last 27 years. Since 2015, the country's 2 largest ethnic groups have been protesting their political marginalization, rights violations, and economic injustices. More recently, Ethiopians have been protesting repressive treatment of the media and civil society as embodied in Ethiopia's anti-terrorism laws. All this boiled over in mass protests earlier this year as citizens chanted for the release of political prisoners and voiced concerns over deteriorating ethnic relations. So they go on to say, many criticize Ethiopia's ethnic federal arrangement, which divides the nation into regions governed by particular ethnic groups. Although the Tigrayan minority has run national politics, as I explained here at TMC, so that's a link to another article, in February, dominating the ruling coalition EPRDF. Since protests began in 2015, Human Rights Watch reports security forces have killed hundreds. In 2017, the Ethiopian government admitted hundreds had been killed. Hundreds of thousands of Ethiopians have been internally displaced. Ethnic violence and local evictions of ethnic groups from regions governed by different groups are covered regularly by the daily news. This year, on January 3rd, the governing EPRDF regime finally acceded to protesters' demands. Under former Prime Minister Haile Mariam Desalegn, EPRDF announced political changes that included releasing thousands of political prisoners. But on February 15, Desalegn announced his resignation, followed by jockeying within EPRDF over who would replace him. So that's a conflict of interest, perhaps. Until now, the Tigray People's Liberation Front, TPLF, representing the minority ethnic group that helped end an earlier civil war, has effectively dominated EPRDF, making other parties within the coalition less relevant. But the Oromo People's Democratic Organization, OPDO, and Amhara National Democratic Movement, ANDM, two of four parties that make up the ruling coalition, had been pushing for changes. The two parties won the coalition's chairmanship for Abiy, who chairs OPDO, effectively making him the new prime minister as of April 2nd. Wow, he has only been in office a couple months now. His election is viewed as the end of the TPLF's dominance of EPRDF and therefore of the country. Despite being part of the establishment, Abiy had been pushing for a new political direction. In his inaugural speech, Abiy called for reconciliation and apologized that peaceful protesters had been killed. So they're talking about here the changes where they switch from the old guard, the EPDRF's old guard. And so I'm not going to go into a lot of detail. This article is quite long. I'll stop here. So all of that turmoil within Ethiopia brings us to the grenade attack. All of that's explained before, and I skipped a lot of it just now. That brings us to what happened on, Saturday? So they say after the explosion, the Prime Minister addressed the nation, saying, "Those of you who planned and executed such an attack against your own people have failed yesterday, failed today, and will fail tomorrow." After he spoke, the state television announced that the government had arrested the deputy police commissioner, as well as other high officials within the federal police and intelligence services, so far charging more than 30 people related to the attacks. And I spoke about that in the previous video I did on this. So now they need to overhaul the security sector. Observers expect to see old guard elites purged from the governing coalition, and Abiy's opponents driven out of the police and military institutes. So, yeah, there's a lot that needs to be said about this. Please let me know what you think in the comment section. I'm still on the fence about this. I'm glad that nothing happened to the Prime Minister of Ethiopia, because he seems to have a lot of good plans. I'm thinking I may not be as well versed in the politics of Africa, especially East Africa, but from what he has attempted to do in Ethiopia, he seems like a stand-in, another Obama. If I'm wrong, please let me know. But he wants to bring people together. I'm not sure exactly what his concrete policies are as prime minister, because he's standing in to reform the old guard, and they're painting him as a more progressive, younger prime minister compared to the others from the past. But let me know what you think in the comment section. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Those of you who have not subscribed, please hit that subscribe button. I'm trying to make it to 1,000 subscribers, and we're getting close to that goal. I appreciate everyone who has subscribed. Don't forget to hit the notification bell, and I'll see you all soon. Have a great day.